good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's great that there's people, all over the world that's here today, which is what I really enjoy about Creative Mornings. I've been a participant like you, so it's wonderful to be on the other side and, share some stuff. Hopefully we'll have some hashtag inspo as we go through the convo today. So I want to start off by saying my name is Dr. Akilah Cadet. It's not cadet, it is Cadet. As you heard Mafe say, my last name is French, and that's because I'm French. Look at that. See how that works out. My dad is Haitian, so that's where my name comes from. And my mom is Black and also French and Irish. And so that makes me a really dope-ass Black woman, which I'm proud to be. I am the founder and CEO of Change Cadet, and as you heard, we are a diversity consulting firm. As you can imagine, since May 26th, I have not been sleeping much because there are a lot of people who are like, holy shit, we need to be better. Individually, we need to be better as a company and as a brand, right? And so I love that we're in a position today where we're talking about stress because we have a lot of it right now. So I'm excited to talk to you about it. Before we go into that, I want to tell you a little bit about my journey, but I also want to learn a little bit more about you as well. As much as I love talking about myself, which you'll find out, I would love to start off by you going into your breakout room and having a conversation with about 3 or 4 people and talking about who you are, right? So your name, that's helpful, where you're zooming in from, and what your stressors are. And don't be the person who's like, I don't have stress. Because you do. And we're close to stress, next to stress, some shit going down. However you view it, talk about 1 or 2 stressors in your group. It's important that we get to know each other and the different sections. And I will probably be in someone's group as well, which I look forward to. All right, so name, where you're zooming in from, and 1 or 2 of your stressors. We'll do it for about 3 minutes, and then we'll come back. How was your group? What came up for you? What did you talk about? What were some of your stressors? Let me know.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dace. I'm in Arizona right now. I actually live in San Francisco, but I'm here helping family with some projects. And funnily enough, I was talking to Sandra, who's in Redwood City, and the first stressor that came up for both of us was family. And it's funny because I'm here with my family and her family. I don't want to speak for her, but I can't see her. I think she'd be okay with this. Her family lives in Ireland. She communicates with them via social media. And it's like, whether you're directly with them or they're across the world, they're still stressors. So yeah, that was kind of a funny thing that came up. Other than that, we just got into some great conversation, but I thought I'd share that little tidbit.
I love that. We love our families so much, which is why I celebrate Christmas. So it's like, I'm going to give you 72 hours, Mom. 72 hours. And if things are going well, I'll give you 2 more days. If not, I'll be like, I love you so much. I'm going to go back to my own bed. Yeah, family definitely can be a stressor. What else came up? I'm seeing uncertainty in the chat. There's a lot of uncertainty that's happening right now. I also want to say that my group is really great. So we had a lovely chat. We all happened to be in the Bay Area, which was cool. Being alone, yeah, being alone is definitely a stressor. I hear that. Some of us are sheltering in place by ourselves, losing jobs, furloughs, being laid off, absolute stressors. Yeah. Anything else come up for you? Being with someone who's amazing, then it's also hard to get space. I found that the bathroom is a great place to hide. There's a door. People are like, they typically respect your space in the bathroom when the door's closed. A partner in healthcare is also a lot, yeah, to deal with. So I think we all have some form of stress. I think that's what we're learning. So hopefully you're able to connect with your group and perhaps even connect offline. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and how I keep being amazing. It's a shirt. Yeah. Thank you, Melissa. I'm glad you like that. Um, so I talk about my story because it's a wonderful origin story of stress for me. So my background was actually in public health and healthcare. I worked in that field for 15 years. I had a lot of wonderful things happen, but I also had a lot of horrible things happen. So I was in a position at Zuckerberg General Hospital, formerly known as San Francisco General Hospital, and I was responsible for healthcare reform and all of the workforce development, education and training, culture change, diversity that came along with it. I had a boss who was really wonderful and great. She got a huge promotion. When she got this huge promotion, she was like, yo, we're really good at like building shit and being awesome. Will you come with me and build shit and be awesome again, like round two? And I was like, no problem. So I moved into an executive role to build out our workforce experience department. So I was tasked with finding the funding for it. And in 6 months, I was able to get the funding for the department. We had our regular one-on-one meeting, and she said, just kidding, never going to promote you, never going to pay you for a large amount of money, much more money I was going to get. I know you're finishing your doctorate, so just work remotely on Fridays. And yeah. And for me, I'd never been in a position where I was betrayed by a supervisor to that severity. We had a lot of trust, we built together, and I hadn't been in a situation where a woman of color was horrible towards me. And so when that happened, every day I came to work was like PTSD because I was introduced as a different person. I was doing this type of work. It was a larger scale. I was making more money, everything I wanted to do with, which was at that time be the highest level of a healthcare administrator I could be. So it was really, really incredibly toxic. Something happened where, I won't get into it, but you can Google code switching, where leaders of color, when they go into higher leadership roles, they tend to acclimate to leadership. And we know leadership primarily tends to be white across the board. And so from there's alienation for me, another BIPOC person, Black, Indigenous people of color or person of color. And so, that was hard to process. I was discriminated against, I was bullied. And so it was a really stressful year and a half. So what I decided to do with working full time and finishing my doctoral program full time. My doctoral program is 4 to 7 years, which I completed in 3. And I don't say that because it's cool. I say that because it definitely gave me severe depression and major depressive disorder because I was working so much. I didn't have an outlet to be with friends and family. I didn't have an outlet to process because I was either really working or finishing, my research. So because I was working so hard and not fulfilled in the work that I was doing, I started the company I have now, Change Cadet. And so I did it as an experiment, like an experiment to see if I could have some type of control and connect back to the work that was taken away from me, the work that I wanted to do, diversity work, organizational change, and so forth. And then also to see if people would pay me as a pretend doctor. I was like, is this really going to get me money? Like, it's going to be worth it. And so I was doing all of that. Once I graduated, the next month is when I got the depression diagnosis. I had a horrible experience with finding therapists. I was discriminated against in therapy, literally having a white woman tell me that I have Black problems. Okay. Yeah. A therapist told me I have Black problems. And I was like, I don't even know where to start. And so in that session, after she told me I had Black problems and she no longer wanted to see me because of Black problems, she also shared that her mom was going through cancer. It was tough for her. She lost her dad in previous years and she just feels it's not fair. And I said, well, if you have an opportunity to spend time with your mom, you're actually in a really great place. And that is a gift. And she's like, you know what, that is a gift. And then I was like, wait a minute, I'm providing this chick therapy. I was like, what the fuck? I was literally like, what is happening here? And so being that she gave me a diagnosis of severe depression or major depressive disorder and said she no longer wanted to see me, I was left without a continuation to see another therapist. If you don't know what that level of depression is, you live in a state of suicidal ideation, or you're contemplating suicide, or you're attempting suicide. I've definitely wanted to end my life at least 3 times. And so she let me go out in the world And I knew at that moment my life wasn't valued, right, as a Black person. Because if I really wanted to fully commit to my level of depression, that would have been the moment where I'm like, you know what, no one cares, right? But because I was able to help her, I was like, then I could probably help myself. I bought a ticket to Thailand, did some eat, pray, love shit for a couple weeks, came back, and I had a new lease on life. So then I found like a dope ass job. It was PhD level, doctoral level position. I, for those of you who live in the Bay Area, my commute was 12 minutes and there was free parking. Okay. Let that sink in. I felt I arrived, right? I didn't have to go over the bridge. I live in Oakland, go over the bridge, go to the city or a train. I was like, what? I was on the top floor, views of the bay, power seats. I'm known as Olivia Pope of diversity in the workplace, but I really felt like Olivia Pope there with the white hat and the big coats, the big bags. I loved it. So I was an executive and I helped executives with behavior change, organizational development, diversity. It was fantastic, except for my boss, old white dude in his mid 60s. And he would say wonderful discriminatory things on a regular basis and comment on my outfit. So as I was walking out of his office and, fun stuff. Yeah, Rosemary, it's an eek. It was an eek. But in a one-on-one meeting, yes, Kristen, in a one-on-one meeting, he looked at me and said, I didn't think you were that smart when I interviewed you, but you are smart. Also, yes, Kristen. I was like, I'm what? I come from a health system that's 3 times the size. I, at that time, had 15 years of experience. I knew how to do all the things. My doctorate is in health science and leadership and organizational behavior. I was in the leadership and organizational behavior department. Like, I don't know what else, right? And so I said, well, why would you say that? And he was like, oh, I guess it's offensive. I'm sorry. And I was like, yes, it is offensive. I'm going to need to rebuild my trust with you. And the way we rebuilt trust is that he fired me the next week. And I was still in my probationary period. So here I am, there for like less than 3 months. I still have this diagnosis of major depressive disorder. I was discriminated from the previous job. I had a lot of trauma about going back into a 9-to-5 space because I was discriminated against either because I was Black, a woman, a Black woman, educated, too educated, likable, funny, pretty. You can't be pretty, educated, likable, funny, and a problem solver. You cannot be all those things because somehow you become like a threat, and then all of these feelings and emotions. Previous jobs, there were also issues of discrimination. So I was like, well, what can I do? Because if I go back into a 9-to-5 space, I could potentially be in that position where depression is so consuming, because I didn't know that work would take so much of my mental energy. Like, I never thought that I was that into work. But what I realized is that I was always changing myself to make the company comfortable, changing myself to make the supervisor comfortable, compromising all of my values. So I was like fighting a war that I didn't need to fight. And so I said, what could I do so Black people, women, marginalized communities, underrepresented communities, BIPOC people would never feel the way I felt. And if they did, they could GTFO. Do we know what GTFO means? Yeah, right? And so I took a chance on myself. Thanks, Bridget. I took a chance on myself and I cashed out a shit ton of my retirement and I went full-time into Change Cadet. And it was one of the hardest things I had done because if you lived in the Bay Area, if you're in expensive cities, a month prior I had to move because my rent went up by $600. So I had to move and it's cash heavy. So I used money to move. And then I was literally at the check where I could start to replenish the savings to move, and I was fired. So I didn't have money. And then my birthday was the next week. I was like, it was all very fucked up. And so my friends gave me gift cards for grocery stores. I applied for Medi-Cal, so I'd have health insurance. And I just hustled. Within 6 months, I was able to get a contract for $205,000 a year over 3 years. And that changed my life. So I was able to have income. I was able to build out a team and I was able to do stuff that I could do. And I share that because, as you can see, as you can hear, there's different points of stress, right? Recurring themes of stress there, right? And so January, it'll be 6 years that I've had this business. I have a team of 6 right now. We're in the period of scaling for obvious reasons for the work that I do. And even in that story of stress, there's a wait, there's more. So 1 year into like killing it, feeling really good about what I'm doing, I started to have heart flutters. And then fast forward, I was diagnosed with 4 heart conditions, one being incredibly rare that only 2% of people have it, which is called coronary artery spasms. So what that is that my body thinks it's having a heart attack every single day. Every single day. So if you've ever had a cramp in your calf, that happens in the arteries of my chest. I live in chronic pain from my jaw down to my thigh, my arm, my back, my neck. But my arm sometimes doesn't want to work, so I'll have weakness. I'm a very cool, very sexy falls risk. I'm officially a disabled person. I am that person who has a lot of doctor's appointments. I call my cardiologist Bay, and he knows it because he takes care of my heart. I'm his favorite. I'm literally his favorite. And I had to now not only be a Black person, but a woman with a disability and depression, right? And for anyone who deals with chronic pain, invisible illness, depression is part of the cycle because there's sometimes where pain is so bad that you're like, why the fuck is this happening? So I have to manage all that. And then I chose a path in diversity and anti-racism. That's stressful, right? So with the stuff that I have with my heart, I can't have stress because if I have stress, I will have a heart attack. My nitroglycerin is right next to me. Wherever I travel, I have to know the emergency room is. I have to go to the emergency room for the rest of my life because if a spasm doesn't go away, I can have cardiac muscle death. Isn't that fun? Yay, right? Yet I tell you all those things, I can still make a joke and I can still smile, right? And that is because when we talk about stress, what we need to do is move away from balance and embrace harmony. What does that mean? So when we think about balance, we think about work-life balance, right? We're going to work out here. We're going to be with the kids here. We're going to have X amount of, work time and so forth. The thing with balance is it's just the arrangement of parts. Balance is the arrangements of parts. And when those parts don't line up, we're like, damn it, I didn't work out today, or I didn't do this thing, or I didn't write in my journal. And we get frustrated. We get irritated. And then we're like, you know what, fuck it, we'll just start again next week. We get discouraged. Harmony is the pleasing arrangement of parts, right? Pleasing. Still parts, but pleasing. What that means is with harmony, you're able to set boundaries that support your joy, right? So if we use the example of working out, perhaps instead of working out this morning, you were like, you know what, I need to go to a talk about stress. Harmony is doing that, right? Instead of doing a workout and not being mad about the workout because you're still tapping into what brings you joy. Harmony allows for the mind, body, spirit, and soul to be aligned and to be connected. It allows for grace. And it also allows for change. I don't know if you know, but the only thing constant is change and apparently taxes, that we had more time this year, which is also great for stress, right? Right? Change is constant and harmony allows for change to come into play. Now, harmony is even more important right now because there's this thing called a pandemic that's happening. Do you remember March? It was so simple in March. It was like, fucking wash your hands, wear a mask, we're going to stay inside for a month. And never heard of her. Yeah. We're going to stay inside for a month. Just if that's fine, we can stay inside for a month. And then April came and people were like, wait, what's, so they're not going to go back to school for the rest of the year, right? I'm not going back into the workplace, right? And then April, our pandemic brain started to set in. Do you know what a pandemic brain is? Okay, hi, welcome to Akilah, me being a very proud health nerd. Pandemic brain is, You are unable, when you're in a period of like so much stress and panic and unknown, which is what the pandemic is, the brain has a really hard time planning for the future. Like it's pretty much impossible. You have to really reset and reprogram your brain. And so that's why today is today. And also today was last month. And who is it? October. And then why did that last month go by so fast? And today's the longest day because our brain can't really process a lot of things and can't even process time. I sent out a calendar invite for April. Do you want to meet on April 19th or August 20th? And that felt right. I didn't even see it said April and August, right? So our brain literally thinks differently. So when it comes back to harmony and knowing about all the stuff that we have going on, harmony allows for how our brain is thinking right now: grace, patience, understanding, embracing change. So then May 26th happened. Do we all know what happened on May 26th? Just doing a pulse check. Okay, so May 25th was when there's the bird watching Central Park situation, and then May 26th was the murder of George Floyd. And so on that day, people were like, "Oh, wait, my brain doesn't work properly, but also I'm home, so I'm fully immersed in what is happening." And then it came into, am I doing it? Am I doing enough? Am I racist? Am I what is anti-racism? Am I an ally? How can should I be more of should I be more active? Should I be an app? So all of these feelings came up on top of, we don't know when there's going to be the end of the pandemic. And yes, summer has been canceled. And also, if you want a spoiler alert, it's not looking good. I'll just put that out there for you. So you can plan on this type of life for a year, at least a year, because we are having issues with how states and how the country is monitoring COVID. We're going to have serious issues with how the vaccine is distributed. There'll be a lot of bias with it. It won't be cool. There'll be more issues unless we get a different administration, but that's a whole other thing. So we have all the stuff going on. We have all the stuff going on, and it's a lot. So we have injustices, we have COVID, we have the pandemic, and then we have allyship. We have the unknown, we have change, and then we have Zoom hell on top of it of how we're doing things. Like it works really well sometimes, and other times you're like, why do I have to see myself looking at people? And then you see yourself looking at people, and it also drains your brain more, which is why you feel tired at the end of the day, because you're looking at yourself. For those of you who have a lot of meetings, because you're looking at yourself of how you're looking at other people. And that's more exhausting than just being in an IRL meeting when you're not looking at yourself, not realizing that your face looks like that. My face looks the way my face looks in meetings. And I'm like, why do people have to see this? And why does it freeze when I look like, why does it do that all the time? Why can't it just be like, when I'm frozen? Anyway, fun stuff, right? And so with all of that stuff going on, we have to figure out, how do we reconnect back to our joy? Because some of the outlets of what we normally would have, going to the gym, I don't know, maybe safely going to a beach or a vacation or a walk, or not feeling like it's a different type of world when you have to line up to go to the grocery store. Now, mind you, because of my rare heart condition, I really can't go outside. So I can't do shit. Today is 100-day, 156 of shelter in place for me. So I have to heavily rely on family and friends to bring groceries, food, things. It's like, it's a lot. It's a lot, but I had to change my attitude from me being the awesome Virgo that I am, who's independent and wants to do things, and feeling like I'm less than by asking for help, to actually, I still have power and control by asking for help because I'm getting what I need, changing the focus. So when we are changing the focus, when we reconnect back to things that can bring us joy in a safe way from what we can control, we're able to handle and manage the stress that comes our way. We're able to be proactive instead of reactive, because we're saying, what are our boundaries? When can I say no? If you don't know, no is a complete sentence. It's a powerful word. I use it on a regular basis. So just, if you have an issue with no, just Just know that no is a good, it's a good word, right? And it'll also help you with your boundaries. Also know if you have a problem saying the word no, it's because you have some internalized issues of how people said no to you. So you want to process that. And so when we can reconnect back to joy, when we can set boundaries of how we can protect our joy, yes, no is great. When we can get to the point where we know how to live more of a harmonious life, then all of this stuff that we're living in gets a little bit easier, right? We're going to have less of a fight. And if you can't get through a pandemic, divisiveness, an election year, instability issues with job, Zoom, injustices towards Black people, learning about how to support BIPOC and allyship. If you can get through all of that, hopefully summer 2021, when we go back to pre-COVID days, you should be like nailing shit left and right. Right? So this is an extreme test, but it's a way for you to get to the next level. End of rant. Summer 2021.